You know that sinking feeling you get when you are scrolling through social media and see another financial guru casually mention that you need at least $2 million saved for retirement? And you look at your bank account, see maybe a few $1,000s if you are lucky, and think to yourself, well, I guess I am just going to work until I am 80. Here is what nobody's telling you. Less than 3% of Americans actually have $2 million saved for retirement. That is right, 3%. So if you are feeling behind, stressed, or like you'll never catch up, you are not alone. In fact, you are in the overwhelming majority. But here is the thing that keeps me up at night and why I am making this video today. Most people are chasing the wrong target entirely. And that mistake is costing them decades of unnecessary stress and bad financial decisions. I am Henry, and I've spent years researching personal finance, digging into the numbers that financial institutions don't want you to focus on, and finding practical strategies that actually work for regular people with regular incomes. I share this kind of eye-opening content regularly because I am genuinely obsessed with helping people break free from financial anxiety. If you find value in what I am sharing today, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. It helps more people discover this information, and honestly, more people need to hear this truth. Let me introduce you to a concept I call the retirement reality gap. This is the massive disconnect between what the financial industry tells you that you need for retirement and what you actually need based on your real life. Your actual spending patterns and your specific circumstances. The financial services industry loves throwing around that $2 million number because it sounds impressive. It makes you feel inadequate, and most importantly, it makes you think you need their expensive services to ever have a chance of getting there. But here is the core truth. That number is based on replacing 80% of a six-figure income for 30 years of retirement. If you are not making six figures right now, if you are not planning to spend $8,000 a month in retirement, then that $2 million target isn't just unrealistic for you. It is completely irrelevant. The retirement reality gap concept helps you identify what you truly need based on your actual life, not some one-size-fits-all number designed to sell you financial products. This solves the painful problem of feeling perpetually behind, of making desperate financial decisions because you think you are in crisis mode, when in reality you might be much closer to your real goal than you think. Let me show you exactly what I mean with some real-world examples. Take Sarah, a teacher making $55,000 a year. She is 40 years old and has about $80,000 saved in her retirement account. According to the $2 million standard, she is catastrophically behind and should be panicking. But let's look at her actual situation. Sarah spends about $3,000 a month right now and in retirement. Her mortgage will be paid off. She won't be commuting to work, and she won't be buying work clothes or contributing to retirement accounts anymore. Her actual retirement spending need is probably closer to $2,000 a month. Social Security will cover roughly $1,500 of that based on her earnings history, so she really only needs to cover $500 a month from her savings, which is $6,000 a year. Using the 4% rule, she'd need about $150,000 saved, not $2 million. She is already more than halfway there at 40 years old. Or consider Marcus, who makes $70,000 a year working in IT. He is 35 and has $120,000 saved. He feels like a failure because he is nowhere near that mythical $2 million. But Marcus plans to do some freelance consulting in retirement, which could bring in $15,000 a year doing work he actually enjoys. His house will be paid off in 20 years. He is on track to receive about $2,000 a month from Social Security. When you run his actual numbers based on his real spending, which is about $4,000 monthly now and will drop to around $3,000 in retirement, he needs about $400,000 saved by 65. At his current savings rate and with compound growth at a conservative 7% annual return, he'll hit $550,000. He is not behind. He is actually ahead. Now compare this to Jennifer, who makes $90,000 a year but spends almost all of it. She is 45 with only $30,000 saved because she has been chasing a lifestyle that matches her income. She drives a $50,000 car with a $600 monthly payment lives in an expensive apartment because she thinks she deserves it after working hard, and genuinely believes she'll figure out retirement later. Jennifer actually is behind, not because she is not making enough money, but because she never closed her own retirement reality gap. She never asked herself what she actually needs versus what the lifestyle inflation monster convinced her to want. Now I know what some of you are thinking. First objection, Henry. This sounds great, but what about inflation? What if costs skyrocket and my calculations are completely wrong? Valid concern. Here is the reality. Social Security payments are adjusted for inflation every year. If you own your home, your biggest expense is locked in. And the 4% rule, which is what most of these calculations are based on, already accounts for inflation because it is based on historical market returns. That include inflationary periods. You are not withdrawing 4% of your starting balance forever. You are withdrawing 4% and adjusting that dollar amount for inflation each year. The math already protects you. Second objection. What if I live to be 100? What if I run out of money? This is the fear that financial advisors use to sell you expensive annuities and keep you working longer than necessary. Yes, longevity is increasing, but here is what the data shows. The median retirement length is about 18 years, not 30 or 40. Planning for 20 to 25 years covers most scenarios. Plus, most people's spending actually decreases as they age. That expensive travel you are doing at 65. You are probably not doing it at 85. Healthcare costs can increase, but Medicare covers a significant portion. The point isn't to be reckless. It is to be realistic instead of terrified. So what can you actually do right now to close your retirement reality gap and stop feeling like you are drowning? First, calculate your real number. Sit down this week and track what you actually spend monthly. Not what you think you spend, but what really goes out. Then project what expenses disappear in retirement: commuting costs, work clothes, retirement contributions themselves, possibly your mortgage. Add up what remains and multiply by 12 to get your annual need. Subtract what you expect from Social Security, which you can estimate at SSA.gov by creating an account. Whatever gap remains, multiply by 25. That is your real retirement target using the 4% rule. I guarantee for most of you, it is nowhere near $2 million. Second, focus on the gap, not the income. This is critical. A person making $40,000 a year who saves 15% is in better shape than someone making $100,000 who saves 3%. The savings rate matters infinitely more than the income level. If you can increase your savings rate by just 2%, which is often as simple as redirecting one subscription service or one dinner out per month, you can shave years off your working timeline. Start with whatever you can, even if it is $50 a month, and increase it by 1% every time you get a raise. Third, eliminate the wealth-draining expenses that masquerade as normal. I am talking about the big three: car payments, on depreciating assets, high interest debt, and housing costs above 30% of your income. You don't need to live like a monk. But if you are paying $600 a month for a car that loses value every single day, you are lighting your retirement on fire. A $10,000 reliable used car instead of a $40,000 new one saves you about $500 monthly, over 20 years invested at 7% return. That is $260,000. That one decision could be the difference between retiring at 65 and working until 75. Fourth, automate your reality. Set up automatic transfers to your retirement accounts on payday before you see the money and before your brain starts allocating it to wants instead of needs. Make it invisible. Increase it by 1% every January. This single action removes willpower from the equation. You are not relying on discipline. You are relying on systems. Fifth, reframe your timeline. If you are 35 and feeling hopeless about retirement at 65, that is 30 years of compound growth ahead of you. Money doubles approximately every 10 years at 7% growth. Whatever you have now will double 3 times by retirement. If you have $20,000 saved at 35, that becomes $160,000 without adding another penny. Now imagine you add just $300 a month for those 30 years. You'd have over $400,000. That is the power of time. and you have more of it than you think. Here is what I need you to understand as we wrap this up. The $2 million retirement myth isn't just wrong for most people, it is actively harmful. It makes you feel like your situation is hopeless when it is actually manageable. It pushes you toward desperate decisions, like staying in jobs that make you miserable for slightly higher pay, or taking investment risks you can't afford, because you think you need to catch up. The truth is simpler and more empowering. You need enough to cover your actual life, not some theoretical luxury retirement that you probably don't even want. When you close your retirement reality gap, when you focus on your real number instead of someone else's fantasy number, something amazing happens. The anxiety drops away. You start making clear-headed decisions. You realize you are not as far behind as you thought, and the path forward becomes visible. Only 3% of people have $2 million saved. But way more than 3% of people retire comfortably. They do it by understanding their real needs, by starting where they are. By making consistent small decisions that compound over decades. You can be one of them. Actually, you probably already are closer than you think. If this video changed how you think about retirement, do me a favor, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future content, where I break down more of these financial myths that keep regular people stressed and stuck. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who has been beating themselves up about not having enough saved. Let's spread some actual truth instead of fear. You've got this, and your future self is going to thank you for watching this today and taking action. Let's build your real retirement plan together. One realistic step at a time.